Y'all ready? We'll call to order the City of Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for today, which is June the 27th. We apologize for being 4 minutes behind. We've had a party scheduled today with electing and instating our new City Council person, Ms. Nicole Miller. We are excited to have you in our City Council meeting. We will suspend with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, as we've already done that in our call meeting at 4:30. And I'll go over the announcements and protocol, and after that, we will continue with the agenda as printed. I would like to welcome you again to the Douglasville City Council meeting. This is a legislative session where agenda items are presented for discussion. No official action will be taken on items tonight. Official action will be taken on these items on Monday, the 1st of July at 6 o'clock. If the business you're here for is not listed in an agenda item, there will be ample time under the item comments from citizens and delegates. Business. As far as call is concerned, I would ask that you keep presentation on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for the to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are intended by the chair to be of a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You'll receive a warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. Second deviation result and request for you to leave the chamber, the premises this evening. Of course, only one person speaking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to speakers. Speak from the audience or carry on a conversation with the audience or be disrupted in any other way. We remind you that we're only required to take public comments during required public hearings on zoning matters. And if you have a pager, iPad, any electronic device, we'll ask that you would please put those in silent mode. And the agenda items will be handled following. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, and the person representing the agenda item his or her presentation first, and then they'll open up for the council to ask questions, myself or council members. And I have 30 minutes for those in opposition, 30 minutes for those in favor. Each person has 5 minutes to speak. If you come to the podium to speak, please give us your name and address for the record so that we'll have that down. And of course, each person has one opportunity to question and debate format or an answer and debate format. So again, push your comments to the chair, give us your name and address for the record, and if there are forms filled out to hand to the city clerk as you come forward. Not accept print materials. Please go to the city clerk as well if you did not submit those. So now we'll move on with the agenda. We'll move on to item 5, which is Public Safety Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel.
Item 8, authorize the mayor to service agreement LLC computer software for the public police department off-duty work. Davidson, thank you.
Thank you, sir. J.R. Davidson, Douglasville Police Department, 2083 Fairburn Road, Douglasville. This agreement allows us to use a company called Powerdetails. They're software to manage all of our off-duty jobs and employment. So right now, everything's done by paper, and we've had a lot of problems with when new jobs come out. Obviously, night shift officers aren't able to sign up as day shift officers when the jobs come out. The software will make that better for everybody, as well as to manage the jobs. If somebody can't make them, it's easier for people to sign up to cover shifts. The officers will have an app they can have on their phone, on the computer, and as new jobs are available, they alert, and they can decide whether they can work it. If they choose to get it, then record it, responsible for it, and we have something that comes up, and then they shift it to somebody else if somebody else uses it for them. It essentially just makes it much easier for officers and community businesses to get officers a dependable system.
I have a question. With our IT department introduced officers to the app?
I'm sorry?
Our IT department introduced the officers to the app?
Training?
Yes.
company there's just a couple of videos, very simple to use. I've already been in touch with other agencies that use this, including Dunwoody, Gainesville, Peachtree City, and it's really quick, easy to learn, and they haven't had any problems with it. There's just a couple of online videos they can watch.
Okay. Can I have questions?
I do.
Go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. Sir, I just had a quick question about, you were saying that jobs are outsourced, or at least just that are city run, like Taste Douglasville. Are there anywhere that City of Douglasville Police work?
It handles both.
Okay.
So when a business, an officer, say it's a bowling alley or the mall,
Thunder Zone or something like that.
right, it would contact us and we would just enter it in the system, and then it puts it out on the system, alerts everybody who may want to work. We can also use it to manage our officers who work city events.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's my question. Thank you. That's all.
Have any more council members? Madam Mayor, I'll put this on the consent agenda for money if it's council with.
Councilman,
Davis, I did have one question. How would this be paid for, Mr. Davidson?
It's paid for, we budgeted for it this year.
You have budgeted already? Okay. So that's where it would be coming from, your regular budget for operating?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
the finance chair would ask that question, so what you're supposed to.
Okay. I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for money. Council will. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Community and Economic Development Committee, as chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Segal.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have one item. That's to appoint Urshla Fouch for a 3-year term on the Douglas County Library Board of Trustees, expiring June 30th, 2022.
Good afternoon, Mayor Council Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. You interviewed Ms. Fouch today at your committee's meeting. There are no other individuals interested in the position, and she would like to be reappointed.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from Mayor and Council? Hearing none, I'd like to have this placed on the consent agenda for Monday with the word library added into the description. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. Planning and Development Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight to discuss under Planning and Development. That's considered a request for approval of a development plan for Sweetwater Vista, 51.29 acres at Riverside Parkway, located in Lot 168, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 2, for plans and dated 6/10/2009. Application by Kevin Wood, Vista Realty Partners. Is there a representative here to come forward, please, and tell us about this development plan? Thank you.
Good evening. Julie Sellers, 1766 Peachtree Street, 30309, here on behalf of the applicant. Briefly, as Adams indicated, this is a land development plan. It's been submitted and reviewed here for the council's approval. I'm going to keep it very brief. We're here to answer any questions that you may have. The staff has prepared a report and has indicated that the plan does satisfy the requirements. You may recall we were here on a zoning matter a few months back, and this is the development plan that corresponds with that. When I said I'd keep it brief, I'll keep it really brief. I'm happy to dive into more detail. I know that you, I believe, have a plan before you, and we're happy to walk you through it. It's a limited plan.
Thank you very much. Open the floor. I would assume that T. Miller would have her thinking about you whenever she offered to answer questions. Miller, you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we have the elevations and the site is revised, but we don't have originals, so we can't really compare or see what you've to change from the original. So maybe you can go over what the revisions are as far as the site plan is and the elevations.
Sure. I'll probably let Steve Rowe, who's here, the engineer, speak. I probably speak to the revisions between the original concept plan with zoning, and I think some of the revisions that were made with and that is before you tonight were probably in response to some of the comments that were made as far as the look and feel on this, just colored, I think it probably shows it a little bit better. The intention was to make some modifications before. You may recall the way things were oriented. I think there were some questions, some comments that were about really the feel of tributary having some common green space and sort of, so I think what you the approach here that really brings in this linear green space within the fingers. I'm not using technical terms. I'll take it to Steve to talk with more eloquence as far as the design.
Yes, we created, Steve Rowe, AEC 51 Spring Circle, Roswell, Georgia. Yes, when we redesigned the site after we got the good topography and got the tree locations, we were able to kind of create a central grade area that's almost like I call it like a golf fairway that you would see going between the buildings up and other buildings, so that we tried to, so that at least two sides of each building had greenery facing, where the other two sides might be parking lot. We tried to be cognizant of walkability, central green space, and some great amenities in those spaces. So we're going to have we're going to have some playground areas, some walking areas, all within that central green as a hierarchy that you can use residents of the development.
Landscape architect, play one on TV. The concern I would have is just sort of there's greenness to the space, to the greenness around each of the buildings, rather than concentrating a little more in an area where you might make the green a little more special, a little more unique.
And that's part of the thought process as we go through. We're not at that level of detail right now, but we're working quickly to get there, because a lot of grade change between some of the spaces. So we're going to be tearing some walls and create some uniqueness of each of these different spaces, so that it's not just one space, but there's a hierarchy of different spaces where you want to open on. You might go to this space if you want more an enclosed place for conversation. You would tuck the benches and the tree over here, and again around the playground, area for parents, and the dog park, same thing, or seating area for the owners. So we're going through that process with our architects, which I am a landscape architect by training, so but we are looking at how they best fit within the development, within the livability spaces, and how everything will be interconnected as it flows through the development.
I guess I understand, especially as far as topography, that maybe would have been helpful a section through the property itself to kind of sort of show that. I know one of the things I remember from architecture was they used to say, you live by symmetry, you die by symmetry. Right. And if you've got too much symmetry in there, there's a sameness that starts to repeat itself. And you want to have fabric too. You want to allow fabric that gives you that background, but then off that you play. Sorry, technical.
Yeah, there's a unique balance between variety and sameness. So we're trying to balance that out, because when you look at it on a horizontal plane, you see a lot of symmetry, but when the vertical expressions in the vertical planes, that's where it's going to start breaking it up.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then as far as the elevations, I'm also concerned about seeing what changed from what we had before, because we don't have the original elevations on that are loaded.
Elevations.
Sir, would you give me your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Kevin Wood. I work at Vista Partners, 2964 Peachtree Road.
Thank you, sir.
So the changes, there have not been changes to the buildings themselves. We are still contemplating the same materials originally. We did ask stone for what we submitted, and that's what we intend to do. We like the look. And we have changed the number of garages. So the building, the building we live in, look very similar to the original ones that were contemplated, and the ones you have are the ones that were planned. So we have additional garages over the very earliest elevations. The clubhouse elevation has changed quite a bit. The original had a square, blocky tower that we thought was very unattractive, and it was large enough to bring the mailroom indoors, which we wanted to do. So we expanded the footprint to bring the mailroom indoors and have a larger amenity space inside the building. And in addition to that, we brought it down and made it, we wanted to look like the tributary community. So we gave it front porches and columns and a roof line that is a craftsman style home. So, you know, we're very happy with that.
Have you walked Tributary? Have you had a chance to walk the village? Okay. Because
So, you know, the main roads are divided, and those homes and that clubhouse were kind of the inspiration for our clubhouse.
yeah, I see you heading in that direction, but I would definitely request politely of you to look carefully at the scale of the houses and look at the scale of detailing and how it's handled. There's a lot of traditional character to the details, and it's not, you know, you're dealing with apartment buildings. There's a challenge to bring that residential scale into an apartment building, but it can be done. And I would only suggest you try to be as careful as you can as you develop the details on these to kind of reflect the detailing that you see in the village, particularly.
The thing we like about the village is, you know, there are a lot of shared visual cues, but they were very good about not putting things that are exactly the same color or have the exact same details right next to each other. So the different building types are going to have a slightly different color scheme, and it's going to be complementary. You know, they're not going to be completely different, but it's going to keep buildings from being monotonous. And then there's going to be accents that really help us make it look like a townhouse.
The potential there to bring in, you know, and to vary, break up the facades a little more along the lines that you're describing. I mean, you can do it without being too cacophonous. You can do it in subtle ways that give you just a little differences from unit to unit. And again, in development costs, you're trying to be efficient as possible. The whole point of having, you know, buildings. But there are ways of doing that with adding just to give it a little bit more without getting that too much of a Disney effect to it. I think you've got potential. It'd be nice to see that before you work your way through. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I've said enough.
Other comments? Council? Any other comment? Did you have any comment?
No, sir.
Okay, I did have a question. Mike, one thing that I think, and I understand exactly what Mr. Miller is referring to, because I remember that he was very concerned about look, appearance. Site plan on page 5 of the information that you've provided us, if you change the entrance from the original, because there again we don't have the original plan, and you're shaking your head no. So
now, the entrance is where it needs to be for site distance, for geometry, for any number of traffic engineering reasons. So we do not adjust that at all.
Okay. Along Mr. Miller's point, how will the property on either side of that entrance be used? Is that something that would lend itself to what he was hoping for, being a large green space for recreation or walking, or is it wooded? What is it?
Right now it's going to be wooded as you come in. We're going to grade just a very minimum as we can. We've tried to keep it as secluded in the back and have the open spaces and the more common spaces back there. Okay. There'll be, you know, it won't be totally cleared, but we're going to limit the clearing to what we just need to get the road in.
For privacy?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Corona, would you mind coming forward? Just have a couple questions just to make sure that we have it here in our file, but I want to make sure, Jonathan, if you would identify yourself, please. Thank you, folks.
Jonathan Corona, Interim Zoning Administrator, 67 on Church Street.
Thank you, sir. I just want to make sure that being a development plan, it looks like all the boxes have been checked.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I would assume then that everything that is required then for the development plan has been reviewed and approved by your department, and everything is above board and ready to go from that end. Is that correct?
And consistent with ordinances that have been passed recently, including the rezoning that was passed under Ordinance 1917.
So all of this is intolerant, so to speak, of that ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. Any other question or comment? Okay. If you'll come back on Monday night, we'll take action. Thank you very much. Madam Mayor, that's all that we have under planning and development time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. On to item 8, which is Parks and Recreation Committee, as chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We don't have any business in Parks and Rec.
Thank you so much. I will call you Chris.
My mom used to call me that.
I know. You look like a Christopher tonight. So we'll move on to the next committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have several items under finance we'll be discussing. All of these are fiscal year fund budget amendments. I'll read them individually. I'll ask Ms. Cameron to give us an explanation or answer any questions on them in all at one time. Is there a problem with reading all of them before we ask her to come forward?
I don't think there's a problem. She's not really gonna have much to say, because she's gonna probably reserve it for the committee meetings that we'll have to reconvene later.
Makes sense, since we haven't discussed. That makes sense. We'll go through it then and realize that we do have to go into committee after this, have our discussions. Makes perfect sense. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, item A, adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2018-2019 SPLOSH Fund budget. You have information before you, a lot of information on each of these items, but we have not had the opportunity to discuss any of these in committee. But if there are any questions or comments concerning this item, please ask them or reserve until Monday.
Mr. Chairman, I'm having trouble with attachments.
If you all would refresh on your first item, we did have some issues with the attachment.
Okay.
If you would refresh iPad, that it should come up. If not, please let us know.
It is working on this.
It is.
If you want to flip over there and see if this doesn't resolve.
It is working, that's correct.
I'm still downloading.
I will say as a general comment, happy to report in meeting with Ms. Callan and our city manager this afternoon for these meetings that it seems as though the SPLOSH revenue coming in at projections that was set up front, so we're not going to, it appears we're right now not going to face a shortfall, which is a good thing. Okay, I'm going to move on unless there are quick comments, consideration of time. Item B, adopt an ordinance to the City of Douglasville's year 2018-19 maintenance and sanitation facility construction fund. And that is concerning the information for the maintenance and sanitation facilities as to budget versus amendments and things that we're changing or adding or taking away. Any question or comment? Item C, adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2018 enterprise fund budget. That is the operating budget for the maintenance and sanitation department. Any question or comment? We'll move on. Item D, adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2018-19 construction fund budget. Any question or comment there? Just as a highlight of that, this you'll see when we have our discussion, and I'm thankful to hear that we're able to do this. We had a cost overrun on that conference center when it was on this conference center when it was built, and as of this budget amendment, we will have reimbursed ourselves for the final payment. So there is no longer an overrun or liability in that area.
Great.
Comment, questions? Last item, adopt an ordinance to amend the City of Douglasville's fiscal year 2018-2019 general fund budget. See no comments or questions at this time. We will go back to committee after this meeting is over, and we'll have Miller come forward and help us with each. Mr. Miller. I'm sorry? I had 5 items. Did I miss one?
No.
Are you in the new agenda system or the old?
It should be fixed by committees.
Okay. I've covered all of them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mayor Pro Tem?
that's fine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all that I had.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to 10, which is Information Technology Committee. That's by Councilmember Miller T.
Madam Mayor, we have one item tonight that is to authorize the mayor to sign an amendment number 2 to article missing the agreement with Sprintcom Inc. Modify the parties' communications tower lease of February 10th, 19 to substitute new equipment. And we have Karen Knight here.
Hi.
Enlighten us.
Good evening. Knight, City of Douglasville, 6695 Church, Douglasville, Georgia. This is to Sprint to modify some of their equipment on our radio system tower over here. Some minor changes. We have to do an amendment to whenever they do this.
Anyone have any questions or concerns regarding this agreement?
Does that do anything to the revenue side of that? Amend that?
No, sir, not this time.
No change in lease payment? Thank you.
Any additional questions or concerns? If there are none, I would like to put this on the consent agenda, if the council will. All right, and that is the only item we have tonight under technology.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller. We'll move on to item 11, which is Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. That's Councilmember Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight, maintenance and sanitation.
Thank you so much, Coach Watts. We'll move on. Transportation Committee, chaired by Dr. Sean Daly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you much, Madam Chairman. Personnel and Organization Committee, chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Segal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, sir. Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee, chaired by Member Dr. John Danley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Education and Training Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
At this time, Madam Mayor, no business tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Communications Committee, chaired by Councilmember Miller T.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time under the Communications Committee.
Thank you so much, Councilman Miller. Is there any other business to come before council members tonight for council? From council members?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I just want to mention that's going on in our community, just to make mayor and council aware, and also the citizens. There are 50 world changer projects that are signed each year nationwide, and one of those fees is to place here in Douglasville for the last 3 years. Douglasville and Douglas County.
Mm-hmm.
This week, there's over 200 kids from 9 different states that are participating in World Changers projects. There's at least 3 in the city limits going on this week. The projects have included 6 decks or patios, 6 houses, 1 ramp, 4 roofs, 3 replacements, and 1 roof repair. 1 house had its siding repaired. 4 projects that were just listed as miscellaneous. 1 project, landscape project, at Douglas County High School. I took a look at it today. It's back there in the back where their little garden area is, and our Keep Douglasville Beautiful. They kind of headed that up, but the kids from the World Rangers group were assigned, and I heard great things about their participation over there. Principal Weaver was instrumental in putting that all together, and the city of Douglasville participated through Keep Douglasville Beautiful. And Central Baptist Church, they've housed 200 plus in their adult supervision this past week. But there's been a number of local churches that have been feeding these kids at the work sites this week. I just wanted to mention a few of those. First Baptist Church, Lithia Springs, Baptist, Heritage Baptist, West Metro Church of God, Contemporary Church, Ephesus Baptist Church, New Church, New Georgia Church, and Greater Amount of Church, all participating in this program. I just think it's neat. And a lot of folks don't even know this is a community, and a lot of these projects are low-income homes, and this, like I said, this is the 3rd year, and I just wanted the citizens of Douglasville to know what's going on right now. So anyway, thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. That's great that we're a recipient of that acts of kindness. And I wanted to say, actually, Springer is one of the recipients, and he posted it all over Facebook. He is so very excited. Recently, he was in the hospital, and now he's relegated to a lot of wheelchair. It was not accessible, and so they've built a ramp, and he had pictures on Facebook, and he said he was very, very appreciative of those young people. So he showed a lot of young people out there working, rebuilding the ramp to his home and helping inside the house. That's a blessing.
Well, this has grown the last 3 years. This we've had participate. So hopefully we'll continue to see this grow and have these groups come to Douglasville and Douglas County and do these projects for folks that really need it.
Very good. Thank you so much, Councilman Watts. Any other comments from council members? Yes, ma'am.
Just a comment. I just want to say the GMA conference was really informative. It was really nice for the mayor and council just to get away and learn more, and some staff was there too. Just want to say for allowing us to go to that conference. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilmember Manley, and we do appreciate the citizens allowing us an opportunity to go away and become more informed on how to participate and run the city. And we had, for the first time, Councilman Miller in the initials, Councilmember-elect at that time, Nicole Miller, attend some of the classes. I think it was service delivery, and it's a whole lot of stuff that it'll start coming. So it was good, and it was a great conference. For the first time in GMA's history, all 538 cities are part of GMA and participating in training. I'm on the training board, municipal training board, and so we have a lot of hours as a council in GMA training, so we should be very proud of that. It was a great experience, and we had facilitators. Our city manager was a facilitator, a couple of classes, and our assistant city manager had a quick flyer or some kind of rapid flyer. So that was exciting. Our city manager talked about entrepreneurship and some other issues. She is just represents us really well. She and our city TV, they were like the news, WSB or whatever, CNN. They were on site. So it was really exciting. We had Ms. Candace go for the first time as well. So it was a great time. Thank you, council members, for taking time out of your lives and away from home in your own bed. Mr. Aaron and I were talking about putting our head on our own pillows this week. So taking your families down was really great. Yes, sir, Councilman Miller.
Madam, there was one particular takeaway that struck me by one of the presenters, and he mentioned, I think you might have been there, it was during one of the general sessions that he mentioned that the most successful cities he had ever experienced across all Georgia and across the country were those communities where the leadership came together on issues, where there was a consensus and a cooperation of people all different levels, with the city, county, state representative. I think that was a very powerful message to make. That there's always going to be differences. There's no reason for everybody to agree wholeheartedly on every single issue, but that level of cooperation and respect that was of the varying show to each other was critical. That absolutely critical to the success of those communities, and over and over and over, almost inerringly. And I think we need to be there. And it's nice to be part of this. So that was just my observation.
Very good. Glad to have you part of the team. Any other comments from council member? Okay, Councilmember Miller and Nicole, you want to say anything, or this is your observing time? Okay, put you on the side. Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to item 18. Our city attorney, Mr. Johnson, isn't here, so we'll move on. Chief Assistant City, Ms. Susan Littlefield. Ms. Littlefield was there as well, trained.
Dodson. No business tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Ms. Littlefield. That is an achievement, Mr. J.R.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much from the police department. Our manager, Ms. Martha Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. Just as was stated before, we will have to reconvene our committee meetings where Calum will present the details of our budget amendment that we have on the 6 o'clock agenda, as well as I will have Julie Kosar in my office reach out to each of you all on your to try to get consensus when we can all get together to have that special committee meeting so we can work with restaurants that presented to you all before. I will also have Ms. Chelsea Jackson, Patrice Williams share from the original meeting before that meeting, so you all can have that as a reference. And 2 of your colleagues were at that meeting as well, the Mayor Tim and Councilman Davis, so you all might want chat before that meeting, so you can have your questions prepared. If there's any research or information that you need from us beforehand out of those items, please let me know. As well as thank you all again for allowing staff to be in MA. It's always a good working time. We always appreciate coming back home because there are a lot of stories in it. Reinforces how well we are doing. So thank you all. And one other, Ms. Little reminded me that on Monday it is in our best interest if we're not going to move forward with the implement district as currently written in the ordinance that we should repeal on Monday, because the ordinance does say that I give the approval to city manager for special events. However, on the weekends, those are just opportunities the privilege can be used.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not wanting that to happen on that weekend following July 3rd, you would want to consider having an item repealed, and I'll ask Ms. Littlefield to an item for you all to vote on Monday. And so reconvening into committees after this, if you need the discussion we have at that time.
Okay. Further discussion. Thank you so much, Ms. Then we'll move on to comments from citizens and delegates. The floor is open for any person who has possibly sustained and not staff. If you'd like to come forward and give any comment, we're here. Give your name and address for the record, and you have 5 minutes. I don't see anyone. Okay. Staff reports. Okay. Not anything. We will adjourn our council meeting and reconvene into committee meetings. Do we need a 5-minute recess?
Point of order, Mayor.
I apologize.
Is there not an executive session here on the agenda? I see one. I'm just asking you, did we have one that I don't know about? Thank you. My apologies.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have one either.
I have one under the new.
Okay. Well, we don't have any executive session. Thank you so much, Councilman Adams. Not having any other business, then this meeting is adjourned. We have a 5-minute recess, and then we will reconvene into our committee meeting. This meeting is adjourned. You just stay here. We are